Welcome to the New Mexico Motorsports Report. I'm Spencer Hill. David Swope is not with us today, but instead I have my good friend Matt Omick. Matt, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, pretty good. If you guys don't know Matt, we have a little podcast that we call Wheels Up Wednesday that we do every Wednesday. It's up on YouTube, and we have a little bit of fun with that, don't we?
Yeah, we do. This is a little crossover episode, but yeah, give some racing news and talk about all kinds of gibberish.
Talk about some funny stories, all the crazy things that we get ourselves into.
Yeah.
That list is pretty long, though, too, Mick.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's tell everybody a little bit about how we met. I know it was in high school, but obviously there's tons of stories along the way.
Yeah, too many stories. Yeah, I think my earliest memory is wood shop with Jason. Had a lot of fun breaking wood in that class, and ever since we've just been doing, dumb stuff with cars and whatnot. So
yeah, of course, can't forget the Jetta, the Camry.
Man.
Obviously now my Bronco, your van.
Right.
It seems like some of our best stories actually come outside the racetrack on the streets.
We've made some good memories, that's for sure.
So Matt, I also wanted to bring you on because you've jumped out recently and you've started your own little venture outside of motorsports in your personal life.
Right, so I just about a year ago, I used to work at Frank's Supply, which you work at now, and learned a lot there, very happy with that, but I decided I wanted to do something a little bit more. So about a year ago in May, I flew out to Denver and I bought a van and drove it back here, put some equipment into it, and started detailing part-time. So
with the detailing business, first of all, what made you think of detailing?
I don't know. That's a great question. I just always found myself washing my car
my truck
and your truck every day, just voluntarily, and something I just like to do. I like clean cars, so I thought, hey, I can make money at this. So went ahead and put some equipment together and started to get my name out the door. So
what's been the hardest part of going from a regular 9-to-5 job to now getting to work on your own hours, but obviously with your own responsibility too?
Yeah, responsibility is hard part. One of the biggest things was understanding how to run a business. Do I know how to do that yet? Probably not.
Probably not.
But
I mean,
more
heck, it
in
took
depth,
you long enough just to get your car registered.
Absolutely. More in depth though on the business side, like figuring out prices and what to charge and how to do it correctly. So definitely a journey, learning experience for sure.
But you get to work with some pretty cool cars too, and I know we have a couple pictures of them that we're gonna roll here.
Yeah, done some very nice cars, a couple Mercedes G-Wagons, Range Rovers, done quite a few. So
what's your all-time favorite car? Here we have one very special up there. That's a Corvette.
Oh, yeah. My favorite I actually did this last weekend on Sunday. This guy had a 2018 Shelby GT350.
Wow.
Just bought it from the dealership, not even dirty, and he called me up saying he needed a detail. So I was over in his house in 5 minutes. So definitely enjoy the cool cars, get some seat time,
all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
So aside from the mobile detailing business, which obviously New Mexico, that's a pretty good spot to do that with all the nice cars that we have here. Of course, here's my dad's truck, one of the first customers that used you.
Our nice dusty cars.
Yeah.
That's for sure, being in the desert.
And then we even got a sprinkle today here. So I'm sure business is going to be popping the rest of
the year.
Yeah, unfortunately, business is going to be booming for the rest of the week for you.
Yes, sir.
What got you into motorsports, though? Because that's obviously a huge part of your life.
Man, just watching it on TV. I remember watching some NASCAR races, Talladega, Daytona. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I spent a lot of time on my grandparents' farm and was introduced to ATVs and UTVs, and I liked off-roading. And then I met Jason and yourself and Jacob, and got experience to other kinds of racing. So a little bit of dirt, a little bit of asphalt.
And who's like your all-time favorite driver if you had to choose one? I know we talked a little bit about this on our first episode of Wheels Up Wednesday, but we'll recap that again.
Professional driver or friend? I'm not trying to hurt feelings here.
Oh, we'll have to go professional now.
NASCAR, I would say Matt Kenseth is my favorite.
And what made you choose him?
I really don't know. He started out in a Ford. I'm a fan of Fords, like number 17, so his name's Matt. What else could you want?
I guess that's kind of similar to me, though. I don't really know. Forever, my favorite driver has always been Bobby Labonte.
Right.
And I really don't know originally why I picked him. I think my favorite color when I was growing up was green.
Right.
And automatically, I fell in love with the number 18, and that's what I used growing up in my racing too, until we ended up getting 2 go-karts, and I had to choose another number.
But nothing of like birthdays or anything?
No, it's crazy. A lot of times, I know that, like Justin Irwin, for example, he chose the number 12 because that's his birthday. But for me, it was just a really cool car. I like Bobby Labonte a lot, and that's just what I rolled into when I was first getting started.
There you go.
I've since inherited the family number with the number 4, but
4S
it's funny how
Express.
that works. It's just you're little and you just choose a favorite and you stick with it.
You stick with it. You stay loyal to it.
Speaking of Matt Kenseth, though, he just made his return to the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series this weekend in Kansas.
Yeah, he didn't do so hot, but
ended up in a little bit of a collision.
Yeah, he did, but
it is nice to see Matt back at the track doing what he loves. And I just got word he is on the entry list for the NASCAR All-Star race that we're going to be previewing here a little bit later on. So that's exciting news, too.
That is, yeah. That'll be fun to watch. Put some money on that like we do weekly.
Oh, yeah. You got to work with DraftKings and all the money. Of course, friendly competition, but it does get heated quite often.
A little bit of gambling going on.
With the NASCAR All-Star race coming up, though, that also means that the NASCAR Monster Energy Open is coming up, which is cool because it highlights some of the maybe not so seen drivers on the NASCAR circuit.
Some of the underdogs.
Of course, not a recent winner in the past year. Who do you think has a good shot of becoming a big name? They're taking the top 3 out of the Open, as well as what I'm going to talk about next, the NASCAR fan vote.
Is Matt DiBenedetto in that?
He is.
That's my answer.
That's your answer for winning the Open?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm sticking with it.
That's interesting. Against big names like Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman.
You said underdog, but I'm sticking with it.
I like the idea. I definitely think that Matt DiBenedetto is going to get the fan vote. That's who I voted for. He's such a cool guy.
Yeah, very humble.
How can you not like a guy like Matt DiBenedetto?
Yeah, super humble.
For the Open, though, there's a lot of really good drivers that are in it and have the chance to take a victory. Sometimes, like the case for a couple drivers in the past, it's their first victory. And it's obviously not a points race, but it means a lot, Mick.
Oh, there's a lot on the line for sure. A little bit of money, too.
A little bit of money, and, of course, it punches your ticket to get into the NASCAR All-Star race, which we will see this Saturday, and we will highlight that a little bit later on.
Nonetheless, bragging rights is long.
Bragging rights for sure.
That's.
So before I get totally off topic, of course, we have a really cool interview coming up here just in a second with sprint car driver Jacob Johnston. I want to talk about maybe my favorite story of us growing up and how we really became close.
Oh, man.
And
there's too many.
And that is our first enter into drifting, quote unquote, with your Toyota Camry.
Yeah, my dad had a 96 Camry. It had 250,000 miles on it, and it ran like a champ.
I didn't know that.
It had 224 on it, and ran like a champ. And Jason had some wood planks that they built his pool room with, a couple extra wood planks.
Of course, I don't know if Randy knows this story yet.
Well, he will now.
But he's going to probably know about it now.
Yeah.
Randy, if you're watching, if you're wondering where all your extra wood flooring went, that went to your really nice, beautiful house.
They went up in smoke.
It went up in smoke because we were learning how to drift in a Toyota Camry.
Yeah.
Fun times, though, Mick.
Fun times.
We must have went through how many boards?
Well, we started with trays that you would get from like Whataburger.
Yeah,
like
that was
trays.
Funny because we thought the trays would work really well.
It worked for one spin, and then they burned up too quick. So we
were just Gymkhaning a little bit too hard with them is what happened.
You have to learn.
So we had, of course, we started off with McDonald's trays, easiest to get your hands on. Then we racked it up to Whataburger trays, still burned up.
Yep.
Then we go into the garage of Randy Irwin's house, and sure enough, we find these wood planks. I'm sure they're
perfect length. And the best part about it, I don't know if they're like oak or cherry, but when they burn, they smelled really good. So
they did. That was the coolest part.
And they put on a show because you think it's burning rubber, but it's just a white cloud of burning wood.
Yeah, at least we were trying to be a little bit safer with it. We did go to like an excluded little cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
So that was nice about it. But fun times for sure, along with the Jetta.
The Jetta was fun.
That's another one of my favorite stories.
Yeah, Jacob, Jason, and I bought that Jetta. I think that was like a 95.
I'm sure
And,
I'll touch on this too with Jacob here in just a second.
Yep.
But we all put in for this Jetta, and I think, what did we spend? $500 max?
They were asking like $450, and I called him and I said, "Is that the best you could do?" to try to bargain him down. He's like, "Well, how does 400 sound?" I said, "I'm on my way." And we looked at it, and it didn't start, but he got it running, and so we paid it and destroyed it in the process. Had a lot of fun, a lot of memories, and we sold it for more than we bought it for. So made a little money.
Yeah, so the moral of the story there is, if you guys do one thing in your life, go out, buy a beater car for less than $500, split it with your friends, and you guys will have the best memories that you'll ever have, because that's definitely one thing that made us such close friends. Of course, our close group of friends, me, you, Jason.
Yeah, there's no better way
Jacob,
to bond.
Cody. We had so much fun in that. Well, Mick, stay here because we're going to have you on just in a bit. But we are going to bring on Jacob Johnston, sprint car driver out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. You're watching the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. TurboThreads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for TurboThreads.
When I train for American Ninja Warrior, I schedule regular workouts to stay in shape.
To keep my car in Ninja Tough shape, I head to a Napa Auto Care Center for regular maintenance and genuine Napa Auto parts.
Like brakes and batteries.
I trust my Napa Auto Care Center for quality parts and quality service.
And with the 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, I drive away with peace of mind every time.
Visit AutoCareNM.com to find a location near you.
I'm your host for this week, Spencer Hill, and joining me today is the driver of the number 17J sprint car, Jacob Johnston. Jacob, how you doing today?
Doing well. Glad to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, not a problem at all. So, this is the first time that you've been on the New Mexico Motorsports Report, right?
It is.
Okay, let's start off with just telling people a little bit about how you got involved with racing from the get-go.
So, it's a little different for me. Like, I actually came from RC cars, which people like RC cars really that get you into racing, but it actually teaches you a lot about like suspension geometry and weight transfer, things that are very crucial in an actual full-size car. And even though you're not sitting in it, you really feel with your eyes while you're driving it, like what actually this change does, and that really transfers into the full-size car.
Is there similar like setups that you have seen?
Not so much. There's actually a lot more to setting up a RC car, believe it or not, than a like a sprint car. We all know sprint cars are pretty simple. So you kind of got to back it down a little bit with different stuff, but it's no different. Weight transfer, you throw some crossweight in it. It's different with the RC car where it's a road course car.
And I'm sure it's all on obviously a micro scale, everything that you're doing.
Like the turn you're putting in a sprint car would be the whole shock on an RC car.
Yeah.
So it's a little different there, but it really gives you the gist of, especially as a young kid, of what you're actually trying to do to make a change.
Well, that's so neat because I've never really, obviously I've had like an RC car growing up, but nothing to the extreme of what you've been talking about. Where do you do that around here?
I travel all over the place. I traveled to Tucson, Phoenix, Omaha, Nebraska.
Did you ever go to Speed World?
I didn't.
Oh man, there was a go-kart track there. Obviously it was like a big area that had kind of a multi-background, but they had a nice RC car track there too. And I remember growing up, these things were just flying in the air.
Yeah.
It's kind of impressive to see
It
how
really
much
is,
you could do in something so small.
Yeah, and people don't realize how much coordination it takes, and people are like, oh, you're playing with toys. It's no different than dirt tracks. Like, you get the people, just going in circles.
Yeah, obviously.
A lot harder than it looks, you know?
So how did you go from RC cars to micro sprints?
So actually, Sean Guthrie used to own a racetrack, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with the Guthries and the racing community in Albuquerque. He used to own an RC track, and at the time he was racing micro sprints. My mom actually grew up across the street from Jim. So family friends the whole time, but we were at a party and Jim was there and he was talking about how Sean was over doing this on his micro sprint. So went over and looked at it and I was like, this is really cool. So,
and that's how it all began. You got bit by the bug right there.
Big time.
So with the micro sprint, you've had the opportunity to travel to tracks all across the nation, really. I mean, big places too. The Tulsa Expo Center, Port City Raceway, Delta Speedway, some really big name tracks in micro sprint racing. Do you have a favorite?
It's hard to say. Like shootout, hands down, the actual race, favorite by far. But track, I would say it's it's right there with Delta and Port. Port City,
cool.
Yeah, Port City, best of the best out there. Same with California, but the deal with Delta is it is port, in my opinion. It's port, and it's not so drastic. Like you get up in the cushion at port, you're hosed. Like if you hit it wrong just a little bit, you're hosed. Like you really got to be good. Delta, very forgiving, in my opinion, on that aspect of it, but it is mirror image track-wise.
Yeah, and obviously we had a couple pictures popping up here on the screen. Where was this one at? Was this here?
Sandia, yeah. Non-wing at Sandia, that one as well.
Of course, this is the non-wing version. This one is at the Tulsa Expo Center, though, at the Tulsa Shootout.
Getting into one.
And you made your first career A feature start in Tulsa this year. How was that?
That honestly was the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. Like I literally looked at my phone at the lineup and I like almost started tearing up. Like it's been a big deal. Yeah. And I've been trying for 5 years and I've had some rough luck in that building.
Yeah.
We've torn up a lot of
I feel
stuff.
like almost everybody goes there and you have to expect to have some sort of thing go wrong.
I mean, if you don't go there with a couple front axles and spare motor, you might as well not even go.
That's a good point. And also when you go to a big show like that, you get to, bump bars with some pretty big names out there, namely Christopher Bell. You and him had a little bit of a go at it this year.
Yeah, we did. He ran me a little dirty this year. I wasn't too happy about it, but I've always been a Bell fan, but that kind of rubbed me wrong a little bit. But
how do you balance the respect factor versus being able to stand your ground as a driver when you're battling somebody that you know is like a huge name?
You know what? My first year going there, like, obviously it's such a big deal that you hear about, but never being there, I mean, I was in the car like shaking and staging. And my old crew chief, Luigi, he came up to me and was like, dude, doesn't matter who's behind the wheel, it's just a number.
So that's how you have to think about it, it's just a number.
Exactly, just another car number, just another spot. So just go for it.
You just got to treat it just like any other race, or else you probably get psyched out a little bit.
Exactly.
And you've also started your career in sprint car racing in the past 2 years. What's it been like with the learning process, moving from micro sprint to now sprint car? Because I know for myself, it's a big jump. A lot of people probably take it for granted, but those two cars, although they look similar, nothing alike.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm still like way on the learning curve, because you said 2 years. It was one of those deals that I ran a couple races 2 years ago, and then I haven't been in a car until probably a month ago.
So you almost have to relearn almost all of that then.
Yeah, and I only finished one show a couple years ago. Like, we had some mechanical problems and just stuff wasn't going right. And decided to take a year off, just kind of try to get our ducks in a row and try to hit it a little harder with the right stuff. And it's like micro sprints, inside and out, back of my hand, know everything. Sprint car, like you said, they look the same, but like as simple as like squaring the rear end.
The geometry is just so different between the two. It's crazy.
And like 41-inch cars, 40-inch cars, 39-inch cars, you got to learn all the measurements with stuff like that. And it's something that, it's not something you can just Google usually. You got to, sprint cars are way different with parts and just ordering parts, and it makes it difficult.
And it's a lot different in the races too. One thing that I noticed going into sprint cars is if you bang wheels with somebody, you're usually bending a lot more up than just a micro. It's crazy because a little hit ends up, sometimes costing you a whole lot of money in parts.
Oh yeah, I junked a car a couple years ago. Just car spun in front of me, nowhere to go, and it went from, if in a mini sprint it would have been a Nerf bar. It was a chassis, a Nerf bar, knocked the injector off the motor, front axle, and just going on and on. Yep.
So how do you plan on taking the momentum that you've gained from micro sprint racing, because you have had a pretty successful career in that? How do you plan on taking that and moving it with you into the sprint car racing?
You know what, whenever I was running the sprint car at first, I felt like I was a lot more nervous, because it's like, wow, like bigger car, like this is a big deal. And those nerves almost made it worse whenever you're in the car. And this year that I've had off, it's made it to where it's like, I get in and it's like another car. 4
just
tires
flawless.
and a steering wheel. Just don't think about it and keep the nerves out of it, and I think it's helped me a lot.
I see that.
Like, I hadn't driven a sprint car in 2 years. I went out and ran my T-Motor Paul Whitehead's car probably 2 months ago, and no nerves, no nothing, just go for
seamless.
it. Yeah.
So here's a question that I've been wanting to ask another driver for a while now. If you were a team owner, not a driver, but just a team owner for a team like a World of Outlaws team or a national USAC team, what 3 drivers that are up and coming would you put behind the wheel of your cars, excluding yourself, obviously?
I would say, hands down, the no-brainer right now is my buddy J-Mac, Jason McDougal. The kid,
top of the board.
Yeah, he has been on fire. He really has been for the last couple of years. I feel
like a lot of people have been sleeping on Jason McDougal,
Definitely. Hadn't gotten the recognition, and he's finally starting to get some. Just picked up a USAC, or actually a PowerRide and USAC midget ride in Indiana. He just moved from Oklahoma.
With Petrie Motorsports, with the number 15 car, yeah.
And actually ran very well the first time out. He ran 4th the first night, was leading the second night, and got tangled with the lap car, battling with, I believe it was Seavey, with Keith Coons. And he's just all around just a good guy.
He's
helped me out
guy.
a ton. His parents own Factor One Racing, helped me out all the time on a car that they didn't even make, and just no issues, helped me out. They let me pit with them at the shootout, like just good people. Second, again, probably a pretty obvious one, Zeb Wise. He's been killing it with the Clausen Marshall Racing team. Had some rough luck, but still doing very well. And I'm mixing this up with USAC and World Outlaws. Both of those, USAC nomming all the way. World Outlaws, Giovanni Selzy, he's been killing it out in California. I think he's only, 17, 18 years old?
Yeah, very young.
And he has been awesome.
He's
I
definitely
will say I
been
didn't
on
like
fire.
Gio at first. He kind of ran me rough.
I kind of
to
had
shoot out.
the same kind of vibe with him, just from racing in California. It's a little bit.
Yeah, he dumped me at the shootout a couple years ago, but I've learned to respect him a little more now. He's killing it.
Got you. Well, thank you for answering that honestly too. That's a interesting question.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to bring that up to a couple more drivers too as we move on. Where can fans see you race next, by the way?
We'll be in Show Low, Arizona in 2 weeks for the 2-day show up there.
Okay.
With the NMMRA and the sprint car. And
you gonna run double duty?
Maybe.
I think I'm going.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'll think about it.
All right.
Might bust a micro out.
I'll work you a little bit on that one.
All right.
Also, if people would like to find updates and stay up to date with all that you have going on, how can they do that?
I'm actually working on a website, but I do have a Facebook page, Jacob Johnston Racing. I'm not great at posting on it. Bear with me. I try. But that and my regular Facebook page is Jacob Johnston.
Very cool. And I'm sure there's obviously so many people that help you get to where you are today. Do you have a couple people that you might like to thank?
Yeah, definitely mom and dad. Obviously, they've done more than you could ask. My girlfriend Peyton, the last couple of years, she's definitely been involved with my racing, wanted to learn about the cars and everything. Robert Turner, Luigi Truden, my sponsors, DNR Tank, Red Canyon Ranch, Mike at Morco Battery, Royal with Mesilla Valley, and then Jim with Car Crafters, Brady Morgan at Metric Cycles Racing, Paul Whitehead that builds my engines for the sprint car. Also Carefree Spas, Topper Town, ABQ Gold and Silver, Mega Structure, and Luigi Fab.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jacob. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Absolutely.
And we'll make sure to stay up to date on all you have going on and hopefully hear about some good news in Show Low.
Definitely hoping so.
You've been watching the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network, and we'll be right back.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of ProView Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you. Duke City Sports Bar, proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. Catch all the sports action from high school, college, pros, and MMA on one of our 35 HD TVs. Start your night off right with any selection from our delicious menu prepared with fresh, never frozen ingredients. Duke City Sports Bar, Albuquerque's newest sports bar. Located on Eubank and Montgomery, dial 505-433-4020.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
For 55 years, people have bought trucks from Tillery in Los Lunas. We have a great selection of vehicles, the quality service department, and some of the best deals in the state. But most importantly, we found people prefer to buy trucks from people who actually drive trucks.
Tillery is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network. Locally owned and operated, located in Las Lunas, right off I-25, exit 203.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at ProView Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Hey, New Mexico, come check out the newly remodeled guest rooms at the new Wyndham Albuquerque Hotel and Conference Center, featuring 309 rooms, 30,000 square feet of meeting space. New Mexico's only indoor water park featuring the Wave Runner. 2,200 square foot fitness center with hydro massage chairs. Also enjoy breakfast at our new Manzanita Grill and watch your favorite team play at Altitude Sports Bar and Grill. It's all at Wyndham Albuquerque Hotel and Conference Center.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report / Wheels Up Wednesday podcast this week. I brought back Matt Omick up to the stage. Matt, outside of your mobile detailing business and my personal racing, we also have had the opportunity to help out our friend Jason Irwin on the road as a part of a real pit crew.
Absolutely, yeah. We have very busy schedules between school, going out of town, racing, podcasts. I mean, you name it, we do it. So, yeah, it's very fun. He's part of the Lucas Oil Modified Tour, and they go all over the Southwest, and I'm actually the tire specialist of that.
So when you say tire specialist, I'm sure a lot of people might not know what that entails.
Right.
Can you walk us through a little bit about what your job is in a weekend, and then maybe I can talk a little bit about what I do as a spotter now?
Right. So the tires are very underrated. You know, not a lot of people think that there's, you know, a lot that goes into the tire itself. They just think you slap it on, go dig, right? But there's a lot in this series, and the tire itself, how much it changes. So starting at the beginning of the weekend, we'll set aside a day for travel, which is usually like a Thursday, and it's a 2-day show. It's Friday and Saturday. Friday is used for practice usually.
Which I got to add really quick. The Lucas Oil Modified series has the most ridiculous practice schedule I have ever heard.
It's out
Jason's going to laugh when he hears this, but nobody needs 5 hours of practice for one race weekend.
They literally give you all Friday.
That's
and
just
even more
ridiculous to me.
Saturday to shake it down again.
And obviously it's a lot more work for
Right.
the pit crew, me and you, and obviously Randy as well.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you
No,
there, but
you're
I just
good.
had to go on a
It's-
quick rant that the Lucas Oil Modified series has an absurd amount of practice time.
It's a little bit ridiculous.
Especially coming from a dirt boy like me.
So back to the 2-day show. Friday starts out practice, and tire sales go on sometime in the afternoon. And at that point, it's my job to get the tires mounted onto the wheels, and I have to purge them multiple times to get all the air and soap and anything you don't want in there out, because we fill those with nitrogen so they don't get as hot. And we stretch them to the right size that we need to get the right stagger.
Now, when you say stretch, can you explain how we do that?
So I would then go and inflate the tire to more than a normal pressure, and that allows the tire to literally stretch onto the rim. And when you roll a tape measure around it, you can figure out the sizes of your left sides compared to your right to get the stagger to help the car turn on an oval track. And it varies. Every track you go to, shorter tracks, you know.
And I feel like stagger is kind of a hard thing to talk about in asphalt racing in general, because with dirt, you can see it, visually see the stagger. You have the huge right rear tire, the small left rear tire, and I feel like when most people hear the word stagger, that's what they go to. But in fact, in asphalt, it's almost more important to have your stagger right on the money, because that is how they get those cars to handle so well as they go through the corner.
Yeah, sometimes you don't need a whole lot, you know, just an inch or two. But I know in dirt cars, what do you guys run, like 10, 12?
Obviously, it varies.
You almost
anywhere
have a
from
foot of
5
stagger
to 15.
Yeah, so definitely an important step in that part of the racing that kind of has a shadow over it. But on to the rest of the day of Friday. If practice goes good, then on to Saturday to qualify and hopefully get a good spot for the main. So,
and then from there, I think my job kind of takes over a little bit, where spotting comes into play.
Right.
And if you don't know what a spotter is, basically a spotter is your eyes in the sky. A spotter is on the radio the whole time, and I talked a little bit about this last week with Dave, but a spotter is able to tell a driver where they are on the track compared to other cars, and they really walk them through the race as a whole.
Absolutely.
If there's a car on their outside or peeking on their inside, I'm able to come over the radio and tell Jason exactly what they're doing and what he can expect, because there are mirrors in the cars that he runs.
But you can only see so much.
It's very small.
That driver's paying attention to, you know, what's ahead, who's around him, pressure.
So the spotter is definitely a big role.
Right.
Equally as important to a tire specialist like yourself. It all comes together, though, to make one big team, and you have to have every aspect perfect to pick up a race win.
Like you said, you almost have to have it perfect and have luck go your way just to even do good in the series. So you've been on a couple shows. Do you plan to do a couple more this year?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to switch out Kansas for Sholo, Arizona, because we're having trouble finding a stock motor. It sounds kind of funny. You think you'd be able to find a motor pretty easily, but we're in search for a really specific motor that's not in production anymore for the Micro Sprint, and it's getting really hard to find them.
It is.
And unfortunately, time's ticking, still no motor, so we're going to have to go to Sholo Memorial Day weekend. That's our next show for that.
That's coming up quick.
On the tour, though, we go to some pretty fun food places, and we talk about this quite often on the Wheels Up Wednesday podcast. You want to tell people what's going on in this picture?
Oh, I forgot. What is that? That's the 6x?
That's got to be the 6x6 at In-N-Out.
I think that's a 6x6. I have completed the 8x8, and this is just one of our little bets we have every time we go. We go to In-N-Out. We
always hit some great places. In-N-Out, Cane's, Black Bear when we're in California, Arizona.
Yeah,
some really good places as we go. And of course, Matt's Mobile Detailing. You always wear a Matt's Mobile Detailing shirt.
I do, even on race weekends sometimes.
It's almost just become a good luck thing now.
Yeah.
Of course, if you want to get your car detailed, you can go to 505-859-9337 or mattsmobiledetail.com.
Yep. I also need to get better on posting social media like Jacob. It's definitely not one of my strengths. But
now here's another picture I'd like to talk about just for a brief second. This is from Tucson Speedway, and we hung out with Chili Willy.
That's Cacti Man right there. Pretty funny.
Pretty funny stuff. That's the mascot of the Tucson Speedway as we were there for the Lucas Oil Modified
Another thing
series.
we were talking about in Wheels Up Wednesday, we actually got to go, all the fans got to go on the track and meet the drivers and walk around, and you just...
Yeah, that's a very good
You'd like
point.
to see that a lot more.
And that's something that I talked about on the Wheels Up Wednesday podcast that I'd like to bring up here is it's a plead, basically. We need drivers and tracks and fans to work together better than they are. We went out to Tucson, and I know that Las Vegas at the Bull Ring does it as well, but they have an opportunity for fans to come out before the races and physically meet each driver face to face, and I thought that was such a cool aspect.
It is a super cool experience if you just go and watch the race. You're not involved with it, so you get to go up close to the cars, meet the drivers, maybe talk about more in-depth racing. So I do think they should include it, and
I know it's a little bit more difficult for dirt tracks because they do have the track prep aspect in it. But I think it would be neat to have some tracks bring the drivers out in front of the fans and do like introductions before the show. Have fans throw out some T-shirts. Little stuff like that goes a long way with the fan base, and I think it's important to build the local fan base in dirt track and asphalt racing, and that way it feeds into more drivers, more fans, and ultimately more coverage in the sport.
Yeah, I was going to just say the same thing, build the fan base. That's because people talk about it and
That's
bring
what
more
it's all
people.
about.
That's what it's all about.
And I think we have a really good opportunity right now with NASCAR kind of losing a little bit of steam, as well as IndyCar, Formula One. I feel like all the major series are starting to lose a little bit of fan base, and those fans are returning to the grassroots racing, which kind of, it sucks to see from a national perspective. But in a grassroots look, that's really neat to have those fans coming back home.
Yeah, on a local perspective for sure.
What do you think is some things that tracks could do to improve the grassroots look?
I don't know. Why do you think that bigger NASCAR tracks are losing fans? Are tickets too pricey?
I think that's a big thing, but the most expensive thing in a race weekend that I've found is hotels. Hotels are incredibly expensive. That's one thing that's hurt the Bristol Motor Speedway more than anything in the last 5 years is
The
hotel
aspect.
prices have skyrocketed because there's not that many around the Bristol Motor Speedway.
No.
So the few that are there, they really price gouge, and unfortunately, big associations like NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, all these, they can't do much about it.
No, the aspect that you have to travel, you gotta, plan out your weekend because it's costly to go fly if you're gonna fly or even drive and stay a couple nights at a hotel somewhere. So,
and I think that's what's bringing the grassroots look back into the fans' base, because they're enjoying the fact that you can go out and see really good racing
exactly
for $25,
Yeah, no, I agree. It's fun for me going on the tour because I went to Salt Lake City for the first time and driving through Moab, Utah. It's a beautiful area, so that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, obviously great scenery,
Almost
moving
like a
throughout the
vacation.
nation. That's why I do it too. I love traveling to all the places that we get to go, both on the Micro Sprint and now the Lucas Oil Modified Tour.
Right.
But we're going to have a lot more racing talk coming up after the break. We're going to run you down through the national coverage. And, of course, we're bringing the Wheels Up watch list and the Unser Racing Museum calendar together this week. And we will preview that next here on the New Mexico Motorsports Report. I'm Spencer Hill. That's Matt Omick. We'll be right back.
Don't forget, every ProView Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today. Hey everyone, Adam Deal here with ProView Networks. Extreme Clean is a proud sponsor and supporter of ProView Networks and all high school sports athletics. Owner Mike McLean and Extreme Clean specialize in carpet cleaning for apartment, realty, business, and residential clients. With over 20 years experience, attention to detail and quality customer service matters. For more information, give them a call, 505-221-6440, Extreme Clean. Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with ProView Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you.
Nothing completes a trip downtown like a visit to Lindy's Cafe. You won't find a more relaxing restaurant to unwind at. Located on 5th and Central, proud supporters of ProView Networks, Lindy's strives to be a friendly and welcoming place.
Lindy's, a great place to be seen.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
My truck's my baby, and the only guys to get to work on her are my guys. They know how important she is, and they treat her with respect. When it's time for maintenance, they check her out from head to toe, and my guys don't wait for something to go wrong. They let me know what they see so that little problems don't become big ones. And when it comes to technology, my guys are setting the pace. From diagnostics to communication, they're always ahead of the curve. Do I trust them? You bet I do. These are my guys. Make them your guys too.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report. I'm Spencer Hill. David Swope not here this week, but Matt Omick is filling in with our Wheels Up Wednesday podcast, also represented here today. Mick, a lot of great racing this weekend. Let's start it off with a little bit of Formula One action.
Yeah, they were in Barcelona this weekend. This is for the Grand Prix series. We had Lewis Hamilton winning that, and Valtteri Bottas finishing second in that Mercedes. Third went to Max Verstappen. Fourth was Sebastian Vettel. Fifth was Daniel Ricciardo. And sixth place, Kevin Magnussen. Seventh went to Carlos Sainz Jr. Eighth was Fernando Alonso in that McLaren. Ninth was Sergio Perez. And 10th, rounding up top 10, was Charles Leclerc.
Good job. I know that those are some hard names as we go overseas. And I even like the little R roll that you did with Perez.
Yeah.
Perez. I can't even talk.
Since we live in New Mexico, you got to include that when you can.
Let's take a look at Formula One standings, though, really quick. After 5 of 21 races, Lewis Hamilton up top of the board with 95 points. Sebastian Vettel sitting in second. Valtteri Bottas back by 37 points to Kimi Räikkönen, fourth. Daniel Ricciardo, 48 points back. Max Verstappen, sixth. Alonso, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, and Sainz Jr. being tied there for ninth.
Yep.
Great racing out there in Spain, Mick. A little bit of carnage early on. Seems like this year in Formula One has been the most straight-up wrecks and carnage that I've seen in any years past.
That's one of the best things I look for in Formula One is the wrecks.
And we don't see it that often.
No,
That's why it's a little bit rare this year. So interesting to see that they're getting almost a little bit more dicey.
Right.
I feel like that might bring a couple more people tuning in here as we move forward.
Absolutely.
Now let's take a look at the Grand Prix of Indianapolis race results for the Verizon IndyCar Series. They were at the Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit, of course, Mick. Month of May is here.
Yep. Will Power took that first position in that number 12. Second went to Scott Dixon. Robert Wickens, third. Sebastian Bourdais, fourth. Rounding out the top 5, we have Alex Rossi. He's been a contender this year.
He has been a contender in that Napa Auto Parts number 27. Helio Castroneves was 6th. 7th went to James Hinchcliffe. Simon Pagenaud, 8th. Graham Rahal, 9th. And rounding out the top 10 was Takuma Sato in that MyJack Panasonic Honda.
Point standings for that series, we have Joseph Newgarden still in first. Rossi in second.
Just back by 2 points,
I know.
Add.
Yeah, it's about to get intense for them real soon.
Of course, Indianapolis 500 just around the corner,
The
Mick.
Brickyard, baby. Third went to Sebastian Bourdais. Fourth, Scott Dixon. In that 5th place, we have James Hinchcliffe. 6th, Graham Rahal. 7th, Will Power. 8th, Robert Wickens. 9th, Ryan Hunter-Reay. And 10th, Marco Andretti. That's your points.
That's your points for the Verizon IndyCar Series. Here's a picture that we have up of Joseph Newgarden. That one's from Texas, but Indianapolis 500 right around the corner. And, of course, the Coke 600 coming up as well the same night.
Yep.
And Monaco Grand Prix right before that.
Yep, a lot of racing coming up. I do miss Supercross already.
I know, Supercross already done. We covered it last week, though.
Yep.
Jason Anderson picking up a win for the hometown crowd here in New Mexico. Great to see the rider of that number 21 Rockstar Husqvarna do well.
Yep, I keep looking for the Supercross standings and not anymore.
Not there anymore, Mick. What was your favorite, moment this year in Supercross?
Daytona was awesome to see. They had some rough terrain in that sand. That was pretty interesting. How about yourself?
I just have to go back to a couple weeks ago where we saw Eli Tomac and Marvin Musquin get into a really heated battle.
Yeah.
Of course, Marvin Musquin picking up the win over Eli Tomac there. I believe that was in Utah at Salt Lake City. They got into it, though, Mick.
Once there's a lot on the line, man, it gets intense. You got to fight for all you have. So.
Speaking of intense action, the Camping World Truck Series was at Kansas Speedway this weekend with the 37 Kind Days 250, where Noah Gragson picked up the victory.
Yep. Right behind him, Kyle Busch. Third place went to Stuart Friesen. Fourth, John Hunter Nemechek. And that number 8. Rounding out the top 5, we have Johnny Sauter. 6th went to Matt Crafton. 7th, Cody Coughlin. 8th, Grant Enfinger. 9th, Brendan Jones. And the top 10, Justin Haley.
Yeah, Brandon Jones in that number 51 truck making a rare appearance with Kyle Busch Motorsports. Someone I want to talk about now, though, is Stuart Friesen in that 52 truck. He was quick all weekend at Kansas Speedway. Here's a picture of him up there now. They are doing such a good job, Mick. Of course, GMS helping them out now on the manufacturer side of things. And Stuart Friesen, local dirt boy from New York, but he is making a big splash in the Camping World Truck Series. And we're going to one of his favorite tracks coming up here soon, which is Eldora Speedway.
Is that why he's been picking up speed lately in that GMS team?
I believe that's exactly why he's been picking up speed. GMS Motorsports, of course, we had a little bit of big news with them last week with Spencer Gallagher getting caught for a little bit positive drug test.
Yep.
Of course, we don't know the specifics on that still.
Well, we do know he partied like it was 1999.
That we do know. Unfortunately, he got caught, though,
Yep.
and he's going to have to go through the Road to Recovery program backed by NASCAR moving forward. Let's go to point standings, though, for Camping World Truck Series. We have Johnny Sauter on the top of the board still with 275 points. Noah Gregson second now with 240 points and 1 win now after Kansas. Brett Moffitt sitting in third, also with 1 win. Then we have Grant Enfinger, Ben Rhodes, Matt Crafton, Stuart Friesen, and Justin Haley rounding out the playoff cutoff as they sit right now, Mick. And sitting right outside that cutoff line, we have Dalton Sargent.
Yep. And 10th right behind him, Matt Snyder.
Yeah, Myatt Snyder, he is right there, just 1 point back from Dalton Sargent, handful back from Justin Haley. They have a good opportunity now as we move on to the Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend to make a big splash and try to make their way into the playoffs.
Absolutely. Yep. We also had the KC Masterpiece 400 this weekend at Kansas.
We did. Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series making their return to the Kansas Speedway for race number 12 of 36 races. We're nearing that cutoff already for the playoffs.
Yeah. We watched that on Saturday, and you got pretty intense. We have some money on this, and your boy hit the wall.
Yeah, I had Kyle Larson as my pick for winning that race, and unfortunately he ran into a little bit of a problem with Ryan Blaney.
Yep.
Let's run through the full results, though.
It was a loud living room.
It was loud. I was upset. I'm not going to lie. I was pretty upset.
Unfortunately, Jason took the money on that one again.
Let's run through the race results really quick, though.
Picking Kevin Harvick, and I think I had Martin Truex Jr., didn't I? I'm not sure.
I think you did.
And, yeah, he's finished second. Joey Logano third. Kyle Larson, unfortunately, fourth for you.
He made a good run back, though, from the rear of the field. I think it was 4 laps to go or something like that. Started 15th, and he rim-ride all the way to the 4th position. I was really hoping for a caution late in the going so I can get some money back, but
it was that rear window that did it for him.
Yeah, that's another thing that we should bring up is the rear window controversy a little bit there.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's going to blame crash damage on that, as anybody should.
Right.
But concave windows coming back at the Kansas Speedway, big issue with Kevin Harvick earlier in the year at Texas with that.
Yeah, he also showed speed after that happened, so.
Very interesting there. Rounding out the results, though, Denny Hamlin was the 5th position, Paul Menard 6th, Eric Jones 7th, 8th went to Kurt Busch in the number 41 Haas Automation Ford, 10th was Kyle Busch there as well in the M&M's Caramel Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yep, Cup Series points, we're looking at 5 wins now for Kevin Harvick, leading Kyle Busch with 3 wins. Joey Logano, 1 win. Clint Boyer as well with 1 win. Martin Truex 5th. Austin Dillon 6th. Brad Kay without any wins this year, sitting in 7th. Kurt Busch in 8th, Denny Hamlin 9th, and Ryan Blaney to round out the top 10.
Now let's take a look at the cutoff line as we move into Charlotte Motor Speedway's All-Star Weekend. Kyle Larson sits in the 11th position. 12th is Eric Almirola in that number 10 car for Stuart Haas. Jimmy Johnson struggling a little bit here early in the season, sitting in 13th. Eric Jones 14th. Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott, your last 2 contenders as it stands now as we move into the playoffs for the NASCAR Monster Cup Series. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. sits right outside the cutoff line in 17th, though, Mick. He is right there. Big moves could happen if everything goes right for the Coke 600.
Yeah, he showed some speed this weekend in Kansas, too.
He did.
Yep.
Unfortunately, got caught up in a little bit of a scuffle with Chase Elliott.
Yeah, that was interesting. But
speaking of carnage, though, we have a picture of William Byron up right now. He was involved in a very heavy wreck late in the going at Kansas Speedway, Mick.
Yeah, that was a big one. Tough hit for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately got a little bit loose with his number 24 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet and overcorrected just a little bit and ended up hard in the outside wall there. Hard wreck.
Yeah,
he said it was the toughest one of his career.
Oh, definitely. Almost got airborne there.
And, oh my God, you got to look at someone like Ryan Newman, who has been underneath more cars in the past 10 years than anyone ever should.
Yeah.
I can think of at least 3 times now where he's been literally underneath of another car.
It's crazy.
And this was no exception this week in Kansas, as he literally lifted the number 24 Exalta Chevrolet of William Byron up off the ground in a very scary, fiery incident. Not much left of that Chevy.
Reminds me of the Eric Almirola crash where it lifted him up and slammed hard, hurt his back.
Hurt his back. He was out for a couple weeks, made his return, and now doing well with Stuart Haas Racing in that number 10 car.
Yep, cool to see him showing some speed lately. So
now we're going to take a look at the Unser Racing Museum / Wheels Up watch list this week. We have the Camping World Truck Series Friday, May 18th for the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Of course, this is All-Star Weekend for NASCAR over there in Charlotte, their hometown. Xfinity Series, they're going to have their next event in 2 weeks, Saturday, May 26th for the Alsco 300 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series is going to be here this weekend with the NASCAR All-Star race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. My favorite race of the year, hands down. They have such a unique style over there with their qualifying procedures. Of course, you get 3 laps. You have to make 1 pit stop. A lot of excitement.
It changes the game. Have you ever been?
I have been. We went, me and Diane Hassel, one of my great sponsors, went, I think it was 2 years ago now.
I really want to go.
And it was so exciting. The best part of the whole weekend, besides the truck race, of course, because that's just amazing every time, was the qualifying format, though. So unique. Something we never get to see is cars come flying down pit road as fast as they can, stop in a stall, their pit crew goes around, makes some adjustments, and then they go back out and try to beat the competitor's lap.
I kind of like how they almost take away all the rules, so it's, it changes it up.
It is.
It's fun to watch.
And also this year we're going to have a new format as far as the rules go. They're going to restrictor plates for the All-Star race.
Oh, baby.
Much like the Xfinity Series did in Indianapolis a couple years back. And I'm really interested to see how that goes because that's going to change up a lot of things.
Yeah, that'll be a cool package.
Going back to the museum event calendar, though, IndyCar Series, month of May, once again, Indianapolis 500 qualifying day 1 is going to come to you May 19th. May 20th is second day of that. Formula One next event is going to be Sunday, May 27th for the Monaco Grand Prix, and that's preceding the Indianapolis 500 and Coke 600 later on in that day. NHRA, Mick, one of your favorites, I know.
It is.
May 18th through the 20th, Menards NHRA Heartland Nationals presented by Minties at Heartland Motorsports Park in Topeka, Kansas. You looking forward to that one?
I am. It was cool to see Courtney Force in the funny car retain the points lead in that series, picking up another win this weekend. Definitely on rails so far.
Definitely. ABQ Dragway, going to be Saturday, May 19th, street to strip, 6 p.m. Sandia Motor Speedway returns with clay oval racing action. Saturday, May 19th. Races start at 6:30 p.m. for that one for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Spring Fling. And Sunday, SMRI Race Day, May 20th. Sandia Motocross at Moriarty. Next event's going to be June 9th through the 10th, round 3 for them. And now we move to car shows. You want to give us the car shows?
Yeah, May 19th, we have the 24th Annual Summer Car Show Series at Hooters West. Been there a couple times. Sunday, May 20th, Albuquerque Museum and the New Mexico Council of Car Clubs host the 34th Annual NMCCC Classic Auto Show. And I believe the Desert Fest is coming up too, if it hasn't already passed.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. Desert Fest coming up.
Need to park my van up front, get some advertising.
We need a little bit more advertising
Exactly.
for both Matt's Mobile Detailing and Wheels Up Wednesday. Of course, you can watch the Wheels Up Wednesday podcast. That's with me and Mick every Wednesday. Usually comes on at night. And that's on YouTube. Look up Wheels Up Wednesday.
Depending on the editor.
Depending on the editor, which is myself. I have a pretty busy schedule as it sits. But yeah, for sure, check us out at Wheels Up Wednesday. Also on Facebook. Make sure to like, share. Everything you can do. It helps us going on in the future. For Matt Omick, I'm Spencer Hill. You've been watching the New Mexico Motorsports Report on the ProView Network, Comcast Channel 26.